That brings us to public participation. The board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and the decorum provided in Board Policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. That policy is available online if you have questions and want to refer to that policy. Your comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Dr. Harris will be keeping time. Questions asked during public participation will be handled in accordance with Board Policy BEDH. And I see a note on one of these. I would just ask that you not use the names of an employee or a volunteer. If you have questions or that's part of your public participation, out of respect for their privacy. First, Ms. Kim Murphy.
Good evening. I was reviewing the information regarding the budget amendment voted on in January to utilize $4.3 million in excess revenue collected from taxpayers to provide a one-time $500 loyalty bonus to permanent employees, totaling $1.5 million, and $2.8 million going to capital projects. And I was wondering if you might give it some further consideration. First, while the district's employees are certainly deserving of a bonus, I'm concerned about the process used in approving this very large budget amendment and the appearance of rushing it past the public without any explanation of its urgency. The item was listed on the superintendent's report as if it was a briefing. It was not listed on the action agenda, which would have alerted the public to an important vote that would be forthcoming. Again, there was no explanation given as to why the normal process of voting wasn't followed. Secondly, the excess revenue that is being distributed was based on the district's fund balance policy that spells out the amount the district would like to keep in its reserve. Without quoting it word for word, the policy is to maintain an average which generally ranges from 15 to 18% of the total general fund balance. This year, the fund balance was $40 million, or 20%, substantially over the 15 to 18% to be maintained. According to your presentation, as the basis of determining how much should be maintained and how much could ultimately be distributed, the district used 18% of this year's budget, which is $35.2 million compared to the $40 million. Sorry for all the numbers, but why not use 15%? If you use 15%, you would still be within your policy. This would allow for almost $6 million more to be distributed. Of that amount, would you consider distributing an additional bonus specifically for teachers in the classroom, amounts to be specifically used in the classroom to give teachers items they need to help educate our children? And since the fund balance is excess revenue collected from taxpayers, earmark some of this excess to be used to offset the millage rate or give taxpayers a refund. I would also like to say thank you. This is the first time that I can recall that you have ever used the excess in this manner, rather than let it accumulate in the fund balance or being spent without a public vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Cynthia Hope Clark.
Thank you. Recently, I attended the Chapin Town Council meeting, and Mayor David Knight gave an eloquent and informative summary of what the town had accomplished in the last year, to include the cost. This made me wonder why the school board can't give the public such a similar transparent presentation as well, as sort of a state of the district, so to speak. I think a lot of the public would be interested in such a presentation. In particular, it made me think of the 2008 school bond referendum that we're still paying on. We know what was promised, but what was delivered turned out a little differently. Therefore, I'm requesting the following information. 1, which schools were promised construction and/or repair in this bond referendum? 2, how much was budgeted for each project? 3, which schools and projects were actually constructed and/or repaired? 4, how much was spent on each of those projects? And what part of the budget was used on projects that weren't fully completed, like the Derrick's Pond property? These are spreadsheet items and easily accessible budget items that can be obtained with a search tool. And since no copies of documents are requested, the Freedom of Information expense should be minimal. Additionally, I request that the board present this information at the next board meeting, putting it clearly and succinctly on the record for all to hear. The public needs to know these details before voting in the next election. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Alicia Huffstep.
Good evening. I would like to show you guys a traffic flow chart. I live on Emmons Ferry Road, so does Ken and Johnny. We know the traffic. So I would love to invite you guys to sit at 6 o'clock in the morning to about 8 to count the cars. DOT says about 12,000 cars is on this road in 2018. It's 2020 now. I'm sure it's gone up with the new developments. Okay, so we have people coming from Timberlake. I can't pull out of my driveway between 6 to 7 to 8 without waiting for a very, very long period of time. So there's constant traffic this way. We have people coming in, dropping off their kids, going through the loop, and waiting to turn this way, where the cars are going. They're going to sit there for a very, very, very long time because you've got constant flow right here. So this is going to back up down Emmons Ferry Road. Now, I've not been to a school that hasn't had traffic school backup from parents dropping off kids or coming to pick up kids. So what is the feasibility or probability of wrecks happening or a stack up happening down Emmons Ferry Road toward the school? If this is stopped right here and they can't pull out, there's no stoplight, down here, very likely. It could go all the way back up to the fork. You know, the fork where Emmons Ferry pulls off. So this is a grave concern. Okay, now I have circled on here this road right here, which is Walk Route Road. Now, people can go around here, we're on Walk Route Road, and stop here, but guess what? You're still gonna have to go toward Chapin on a busy road. You're not gonna be able to pull out there either, okay? There's no other way to get to Chapin through this one spot. And if you see these two circles right here, these two circles are probably where accidents, high probability is going to take place, which is great business for a 222 call, call a king, and call George Sink. Because the district is going to have a lot of wrecks right here and right here because of one way in and one way out with the one-way traffic. This is a grave concern. By putting a school here, you have decided to put teachers, parents, and students in grave danger because of wrecks. Now, I live here and I see the wrecks. There's been multiple wrecks already. This has been increasing 5 times. So you might want to consider this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Robin Rhodes.
Good evening. I had not formally prepared anything. I'm here in support of a coach, a lacrosse coach that we have at Chapin High School. I would, this particular individual has coached my son for 3 years. He has been an example of a leader. He has demonstrated work ethic. He has also been a very, very good coach for our children. I would ask you to reconsider any decisions that you've made concerning this individual, realizing that we're all a work in progress, and as the young lady said earlier, we all have good days and bad days. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Zangborn, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
You got it right. I'm the parent of a child at Chapin High School, and I've become aware that there are some electrical problems and some other problems with construction due to poor construction quality or follow-through. I'm not sure exactly what the problems originated from, but I'm really curious about how extensive they are and what we need to do to fix them and where the funds are going to come from to do those repairs.
Thank you. Mr. John Abercrombie.
Thank you, sir. I have some handouts here if I could get them to the board members.
If you'll leave those with Ms. Strange, she'll make sure we get those. Thank you.
I want to tell you primarily why I'm here. I'm here in support of that same coach that was mentioned earlier. But I'm more so here in support of the players, of which there are about 60, as well as about 100 plus parents. But the main one I'm here for, when you get these packets, you'll be able to see this one letter. And I'm going to read it to you, and I'll leave the name out. Dear Mr. Ames, Coach has coached me since I was 11 years old. Excuse me, I'm sorry. When I first met him, my dad was sick, and he couldn't support me at the games. But the coach was there for me, and my dad couldn't be. And even after my dad got better, he continued to be there for me, to support me. He's an amazing coach, and no matter what happens, he will always be our coach. That's my son, and I'm that dad. I had a liver transplant in 2014. There's people in this room that know me. This guy was here when I couldn't be there. That's why I'm here. I'm here to support him. This man had a situation last year, 2019, for which he was suspended. He served his suspension. He was reinstated, finished out the season. Worked with these kids all summer long. And most of these kids, in these 60 plus pages of letters here, have been coached by this gentleman since they were 10 or 11 years old. He is more than just a coach. He's a role model, he's a mentor, he's a leader. And this man served his suspension last year. One parent with one child, with one vendetta, I'll just leave it at that, decided he didn't want him to coach. He threatened litigation, period. So therefore, this coach was pulled back off the field this year. Now look, we're businessmen. We're attorneys. We're people here. I work in the waste industry. I'm a consultant for an engineering company. If we folded every time somebody threatened litigation, we would be in trouble. But I'm just saying, I'm here in protest of the process, for which it appears to these young men there wasn't a process. And these players and these parents have questions, and they're hurting, and they need answers, for which they haven't. Now I'm going to go try and make the second half of my son's lacrosse game. They're playing our tonight. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Our final participant in public participation, Ali Hendrick, Sarah Gams, and Jessica Bauer. Representatives of our outstanding educators in District 5. Thank you.
Good evening. We're here today just to share with you something that we're very excited about. We are relaunching our district's teacher forum. My name is Ali Hendrick. I'm a social studies teacher at Dutch Fork High School, and I had the honor of serving as our district teacher of the year, and therefore chair of our teacher forum. And these are my colleagues. I'll let you introduce themselves.
I'm Sarah Gams. I'm Spring Hill High School's Teacher of the Year for this year, and I'm serving as co-chair.
And I'm Jessica Bauer. I'm Chapin Middle School's Teacher of the Year, and I'm on the exec committee for Teacher Forum.
We just wanted to give you a little bit of information about us. District 5 Teacher Forum is an independent nonprofit. Teachers that are selected to be Teacher of the Year within their individual school buildings are invited to participate and all serve voluntarily. The purpose of Forum is to advance our profession through providing opportunities to develop teacher leadership, to advocate for positive change in our profession at the state and local level, and to inspire and celebrate teachers across our district. We just wanted to let you guys know we are having our first meeting as a forum later on this week, and we have invited speakers to come and to educate us and teach us about advocacy and about state level issues affecting our profession. We are doing that in preparation for our April 2nd Chat and Chew, which we hope you all have received invitations to. We look forward to spending time with you and talking about things that are important to us and important to you. And we want to let you know if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to us. We do want to take this time to say thank you to Dr. Melton and to Ms. Goggins for their support in helping us kind of relaunch in this time. Also to Dozer Rising, if you go to Dozer Rising, because they have already given us generous support in the form of food. So we are very thankful for them. And we look forward to partnering with you and serving our district. So
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to it.